What's going on YouTube? It's your boy Rocky in real time, and I'm back at you with another video. And in today's video, I'm going to talk about, do you really need to hide your location? And I'm going to dispel a lot of myths about working abroad as an expat and hiding your location and using VPNs and all those sort of things, because some people will tell you that some companies will block VPNs and this and that, and it's hard to use a VPN, but like just a whole bunch of myths. And I want to dispel that because I've worked for startups, I've worked for government contracts, I've worked for private companies. I've worked both in the public and private sector. In fact, I'm working in the public sector right now. And let me tell you, a lot of times you do not even need a VPN. You can get a VPN, right? And I'd say it's better to be safe than sorry. But I'm gonna teach you one method that I use. And I don't even have a VPN. I just do something called port forwarding, which I will discuss later in this video. But there's two methods, really. There's two methods of really hiding your location. You can go to VPN route. Again, if you're working for some sort of like private company, like, some sort of gaming company, some company where they're not really working with sensitive data, right? And the sensitive data has this term, it's called HIPAA data. I forget what the actual acronym stands for, but basically it's like real addresses, names, social security numbers, and health information. That's HIPAA data, right? And it comes in various different forms, but just basically its essence and its core essence is just like personal data from real people. So if your company works with that, it's better to do the second method, which I'll discuss, which is port forwarding in this video. But if you're worried about your location and hiding your location, trust me, listen, this is not my first rodeo. Brazil is not the first country that I've actually lived in. I've lived in Nigeria for 4 years. I've worked there, before the pandemic for 2 months. I was there because I'm Nigerian, visiting family, all that other stuff. I've gone to Cameroon, I've gone to Benin, I've gone to Togo, I've gone to Egypt, I've gone to Morocco, I've gone to Ghana. I worked all those countries fine, without any problems, right? England, I've been there, stayed 8 months in England, been to Germany, I've been to Netherlands, I've been to France, Colombia, I live in Brazil now. So all these places I've gone, and I've used either my port forwarding method or some sort of VPN. I even went to Cuba when I was working a government contract and used the internet in Cuba without a VPN and without any sort of port forwarding. I didn't even know what port forwarding was back at that time in like 2017, right? So like I said, I've been in the tech industry for a while, and before remote jobs were really, because as a software engineer, you can ask any software engineer prior to 2020, prior to the pandemic, remote jobs were super rare. And before then, in 2017, so like 3 years before the pandemic, actually I got the job in 2016. And throughout 2017, and I quit that particular job in 2018. But I was working a job that I would get to work from home 3 days out of the week, right? And a lot of times I used to travel a lot and structure that around like holidays. So if a holiday fell on a Monday, I would, try and, cause I got Fridays off, I got not off, but like I get to work from home from Fridays, Mondays, and Tuesdays or Wednesdays, depending on, what was going on in the office. So some weeks, right, I would be in another country just chilling. I would be in Guatemala, just working from Guatemala, working from Mexico, working from a bunch of different countries. Now, I don't want to make this video too long. So, like I said, two methods, right? If you're working with HIPAA data, I would suggest do port forwarding. If you're working for a private company, you could probably just get a VPN. And if you're not really sure, just go with the port forwarding. Now, VPN, what is VPN? What is that? Virtual private network. And basically what that is instead of, so the way the internet works, right? Or just like, high level overview, 10,000 feet. You have request and response packets. And they're broken up into different packets and sent and back between the requester and servers and yada, 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 right? So let's say you go to youtube.com and you request this video that you're watching right now, right? It has a URL, which is that stuff that you put in the address bar, that blah, blah, slash rocking real time, blah, blah, slash this long, you know, cryptic number that will get you to this video. You have requested that video from their servers, right? It's not going to send you everything. It's going to break it up into different response packets. You're going to receive it on your end and piece it together, right? So you're basically making a request to YouTube servers for a particular video that you can watch, right? So YouTube servers will see your IP address, and with your IP address, they can know which country you're in, you know, and your more or less precise geographic location, right? Your internet provider, all that stuff. So with port forwarding, I mean, with you know, using a VPN, what you do is actually you connect to a different server, and the server then forwards the request that you just requested to YouTube. So it's like a middleman between you and YouTube servers. So you're connecting to their server, which takes a request and then processes that and then sends that request on your behalf using their IP address to the YouTube servers. And then YouTube will now see that response or see that request and say, okay, let's just say you are in Singapore or something like that, and then you want to because YouTube also, depending on where the IP address comes from, will show you and cater different content based on the region you're in. So you have YouTube Singapore, YouTube Brazil, YouTube Mexico, blah, blah. So if you want to see American catered content, you use a VPN, right? And then you can, you know, use an IP address from New York or Miami, and then it will just show you American, you know, North American search results, right? So when it goes to YouTube server, you know, through that intermediate server, it's saying, oh, okay, you're in Miami. Let me give you these response packets based on, you know, your location, you know. So they'll process that and they'll send it to the server, and the server will now send it back to you, right? So there's a little bit of latency, and latency is just basically the speed at which it takes to reach your computer from their servers, right? It's latency. So there's a little bit of latency. And I know I'm rambling. I just wanted to explain what the process and, you know, just what VPNs are. But to answer the broader question is, you really don't need a VPN, right? Because VPNs, they charge you every month. You know, you can use Ghost VPN, you can use NordVPN. In fact, my recommended choice if you want to use a VPN is NordVPN. So, you know, Nord is a good option. But I use port forwarding. Now, I've been talking a lot about it, name dropping. Port forwarding is basically, you are basically mimicking your IP address, your own personal IP address. So basically, when you sign up for your internet subscription or whatever, they give you a router, and you have a home network, and your router, there's basically a wide area network, WAN, and there's a LAN. So each of those have like IP addresses, and what you send out to the world, you know, is your IPv4, your IP address, your home IP address, and you can basically clone that with a device and take it with you. So while I'm in Brazil and basically anywhere I'm at, I'm not using it right now here in New York because I don't need to, because the whole point of it is like, so when I'm working for an employer, that I have a New York IP address wherever I am, but I'm in New York right now, so I don't need to, you know, use a device. But anyway, you use travel routers, right? So you basically log into your router. So you go under your router, there's the IP address for your router. You put that in, and it'll take you to the home screen of the router. In that, you're going to, you know, log in. Like if you're using a Verizon, your router IP address is probably like root, and your password is probably like root. A lot of people don't change it, which is like a security risk, but that's like another conversation. But what you can do is you can use this like a device like this, right? And actually you need two devices. you need a travel device which you take with you. And I've got this GL.iNet device, right? I've got this, and basically what it is it's a travel router, right? So at the back of the router, right, you have two things. Let me see if that can focus. You have the WAN, as you can see, and you have the LAN, right? So you basically have an Ethernet cable and you connect the WAN to the LAN of the your home router, and you now have to get another device. I don't have it with me right now because it has to stay plugged into your router in the States, right? So I have two routers, right? Two travel routers. One of them is connected to the router in my parents' house, right? And the other one I take with me, which is this one. I take this one with me, and you know, you're gonna have to do a lot of configuration, which is a little bit complicated. You have to kind of understand networking concepts and stuff like that, which was tough for me in the beginning, but I figured it out. So if you ever want that, you know, just hit me up on Instagram. I will reply to you, and you know, you can just cash at me or something, and I'll help you set it up remotely. But basically, you take the Ethernet cable and you plug the Ethernet into your WAN and into the router's LAN. Remember, WAN is wide area network, and LAN is local area network. So I'm not going to go too much into detail about those things, but you know, because they're kind of really like you know, networking principles and things like that. So I don't want to make this video too long. But anyway, I have the device connected to my router at home, right? And I do a series of connections. Like, first I connect my travel router that I take with me. I do some configuration, connect it to the, the one I leave at my parents' house, do some configuration. At the end, it's all cloned. And, you know, wherever I take this with me, whatever router I'm in, let's just say I'm in Mexico right now, right? And I have this with me. I plug the WAN into the LAN of the router. Again, you have to have access to the router. So whatever Airbnb you're in, you know, you have to have access to their router. You plug the WAN into their LAN and you plug the power supply, and that's it. Your network will appear. So the name of the router is usually like GL something something something, because this is a GL.iNet router. So it's like going to be like the name of the company abbreviated and whatever number, right? Whatever the number of this is. I think this is the GL. What is this? This is the GL-MT1300. So you'll see that GL-MT1300 appear on your list of devices, and immediately you connect to it. You are gonna give off your home IP address in New York or wherever you are, wherever you're from. Like, so let's say you're from Illinois and you did this whole port forwarding thing. Once you do it, all you need to do is plug your router into whatever router you're near, or the router that you have access to in whatever country you're in. And what's going to happen is, let's say you're in Mexico, you have your router and your home router and your travel router back at your home in Illinois, and you've got this device with you in Mexico, right? Connect it to the router that you have access to in Mexico, put it in a power supply, you know, connect it to a power supply, and then once it finally calibrates, it's going to bounce every request that you make off of your home router, right? Your travel router, because it's going to be like, this is going to be connected to like the travel router, right? And I think I have like an AX, a GL.iNet, same company, GL.iNet AX1800 or something. I'll put it on the screen. But you connect it to that, and then it sends requests. So it acts as a VPN, essentially. This is what I'm getting at. It acts as a VPN, and you don't have to pay. Once you pay for the routers themselves, I think this is like $75, and the other one was $100. It's like, there's many benefits to doing this, right? And one of the main benefits is that it's going to be your IP address. It's not going to be some, you know, IP address from a VPN, because a lot of companies, the way VPNs are structured, they're like, the IP address kind of gives away that it's a VPN, right? So it's gonna look weird to a lot of sites, or maybe the site that you need to have access to for work. So my suggestion is to just go with this whole travel router setup, because it doesn't leave room for that possibility of you being found out that you're using a VPN, right? It's it's a little bit more complicated to set up than a VPN, yes, most definitely, but once you have it set up, that's it. That's all you have to do. You just plug your WAN into the LAN of the router that you're close to, and then boom, connect it to a power supply, and that's it. That's all you really need to do. So that's my recommended approach, right? Like I said, a lot of these companies don't really have like a lot of security like that, but it's better to be safe than to be sorry. So if you're going to go abroad, if you're going to live abroad, you definitely need some sort of home networking access sort of plan, right? You need some sort of setup, whether it's using a VPN from a VPN provider or going with this home router setup that I've talked about. I think that one is actually better, especially if you're on the go all the time, because a lot of times certain VPNs don't work in certain countries. Like I was using Ghost VPN at one point before I switched to NordVPN, and Ghost VPN didn't really work in Brazil, so I had to find an alternative. So I had to get NordVPN because of that. And I was using Ghost for a long time, but when I started traveling to Brazil, Ghost wouldn't work there for some reason. So and then after that, I got this option, which is way better for me, because again, I'm a software engineer. I don't really do a lot of like heavy computing processing online, don't really stream a lot of videos and whatnot. And as long as you've got really, really fast internet, like at least like 40-50 megabytes per second, you're good. Like even lower than that sometimes, you're good. Because like I said, this is gonna make your connection a tad bit slower. It's like almost not noticeable, but it's like a little bit slower than using like your raw internet connection via your router. So yeah, that's pretty much all I wanted to talk about. I just wanted to just let you guys know that yeah, because I get that question a lot, like, okay, how do you like hide your location, or like how does that work, and blah blah blah. And also, side note, if you're working for an American company, right, if you're working for an American company remotely, the law states that you cannot work outside of the United States for more than 90 days at a time. And that's not limited to just once a year. So aside from all this VPN and port forwarding shit, you can just ask your company. A lot of times they'll just let you work, but say, hey, I want to work outside the country for a little bit. You take permission. They have to go, ask legal, blah, blah, blah. And then they'll grant you, the privilege of working outside the country, right? But it's 3 months at a time, because after 90 days, your company is considered operating in that country. So let's just say you're working for XYZ company, right? And you didn't get permission for them, right? And you've been in Singapore. I don't know why I'm thinking of Singapore today, but we're gonna go with Singapore for our examples. You're in Singapore, and you've been there for 95 days, which is just past the the threshold for that law. Your company is considered operating in Singapore, whether they have offices there or not. So whether they have offices there in Singapore or not, they're considered working there. So if you just don't want to do any of this stuff, just ask your company, right? Go look up the law. Listen, like I said, this is not my first rodeo. I've consulted lawyers about this. Like before I even moved to Brazil permanently, I consulted lawyers about that. I said, hey, I consulted laws about tax. I consulted laws about like being able to work abroad. Like I was like, with a lawyer, an employment lawyer, and I was asking her all of these questions and, paying hundreds of dollars for her consultations. And they're not cheap, right? So I'm giving you guys free game right now, right? You can work abroad and do it pretty easily. And in terms of taxes, you just have to pay taxes at home. There's no minimum number of days that you need to spend in the United States as a United States citizen. There you go. I've already given you that information. You just need to either hide your location via the VPN or the port forwarding, or just ask permission from your company. And even if they don't know the law, like, I'm telling you what the law is. It's 90 days each time. So you can go 90 days, come back, stay a few months, go again, 90 days, right? So yeah, I just wanted to talk about this because a lot of people ask me like about, you know, how I'm able to work for an American company or American companies with their laptops and all that other stuff. And like I'm saying, if you're working with HIPAA data and stuff like that, go with the port forwarding. And, you know, if you're just not sure, go with the port forwarding. But if you're really sure your company doesn't have a lot of, like, most of these companies, let me just give you real game. Most of these companies don't have a lot of security when it comes to, you know, where they receive requests from and IP addresses and all that other stuff. Unless you're doing something really like top secret, like, you know, working and you need a, working for like a government agency and you have a security clearance. Most of these companies are not going to have like really robust security when it comes to things like that, especially if a lot of their employees are working remote. They know a lot of their employees are working abroad in different countries and all that other stuff, you know, but so they don't really care like that. There's not a lot of security. But if you're still concerned about that, which, like I said, some companies are going to be, you know, if you're working for something like a company like CrowdStrike, which is like you know, like a cybersecurity firm or something like that. It's like one of the top cybersecurity firms out there. They might have a little bit more security, you know. So go with the port forwarding, right? If you're working for some, you know, company that does, I don't know, sells health supplies online or something like that, and you're not working with personal data, you can just go with a VPN. But like I said, if you're unsure, just go with the port forwarding. Or you can have a mixture of two. You can be subscribed to a VPN and then, you know, have the port forwarding option. I think I want to do a video on how to do this in depth, like this port forwarding stuff. I want to show you guys how to do it because it's not hard. You know, if I don't make a video, just hit me up on Instagram. I can just like do that for you. You know, you just pay me something, I'll do that for you. But yeah, that's it for this video. I just wanted to just let you guys know that yes, it is possible. Do not believe any of the myths. Like I said, I've literally done this on 4 continents. Literally. Like I've literally done this on 4 different continents. So don't let anyone tell you that like, oh, you can't use a VPN, or, you know, a lot of companies detect a VPN. Nah, it's a lie. Like I told you, I worked in Cuba with a government computer. And if you do not know anything about Cuba, the internet is trash there. It's trash. And I had a government computer. Literally had to have a smart card. I inserted a smart card and I was using Cuban internet. Nobody said anything. I was there for a week, right? So, like I said, if you really just want to be safe, like I said, port forwarding is for you. You can also try VPNs as well, but my recommendation is port forwarding. So I'm not going to rant too much. I just wanted to just talk about that because a lot of people who have questions have questioned me about that. And I just wanted to set the record straight because there's a lot of misinformation out there, especially when in regards to working abroad and working for other companies. Like I said, I've literally done this for years. I've consulted lawyers, employment lawyers, right? So don't listen to anyone else who says anything on the contrary without the accurate information of that experience, right? Because a lot of you are not going to start businesses. It takes a certain type of, you know, tenacity to start a business, right? Most people are going to just try and just work for someone. That's cool, you know, as long as you get your money, you know, meeting your financial goals, whatever. But this is how you do it. This is how you do it abroad, all right? Remember, I'm an expert expat. So, you know, I'm not just talking. Anyway, that's it for this video. Like, comment, and subscribe for more content, and I will see you guys later.